Naledi, I said leave. Take that baby and get out of my house.
Tebogo, please. Where will we go? We have nowhere. Don't throw us out.
That is not my problem. I want you gone before sunset. Do you hear me?
The afternoon sun scorched the quiet streets of Gaborone as Tebogo stood at the doorway, his anger heavy and unmistakable. His posture alone carried the force of a command, leaving no room for questions or hope. Naledi, trembling and exhausted, clutched her newborn tightly against her chest as the reality of her situation settled like dust on her skin. Her tears soaked Cabelo's blanket, while fear tightened around her heart.
The man she had trusted, the father of her child, had turned his home into a battlefield. She stepped into the harsh sunlight, carrying only her baby, but fate had written a very different story for her. She had no idea that she was on the edge of becoming a billionaire, heir to a hidden legacy her grandmother had protected with wisdom and love.
My name is Naledi Mokoena, and I live in Gaborone, Botswana, where the sun burns brightest in the early afternoons. On one such scorching day, my life shattered in a way I never imagined. My husband, Tebogo, a man I once trusted with every piece of my heart, ordered me and our 3-week-old son, Cabello, out of our own home as if we were unwanted strangers. I stood there trembling, my baby crying softly against my chest while the heat pressed down on us. The shock numbed me, yet the betrayal cut deeper than the burning Botswana sun. Tebogo stood boldly in the doorway, cold and unmoved. He claimed I had already signed separation papers, documents I barely remembered seeing and certainly never understood. Confusion twisted inside me as I tried to make sense of the nightmare unfolding. When I checked my banking app, my heart dropped. My account balance showed zero pula. My phone line had mysteriously stopped working, and when I looked outside, my car was gone too. In a single moment, everything I owned, trusted, and relied on had vanished. With only 2 plastic bags holding the little I could grab, and my newborn crying weakly against my shoulder, I walked along the dusty road with nowhere to go. The burning sun felt heavier than my grief, yet I pushed forward because I had no other choice. Neighbors watched from behind curtains and half-open doors, pretending not to see me, perhaps out of fear, gossip, or simple indifference. I had no family left to call, no friend brave enough to intervene. Every step I took felt like a reminder of how completely alone I had become. As I walked, a sudden memory cut through my despair. An envelope that had arrived days earlier, marked with the seal of a law firm in Cape Town. My late grandmother's maiden name, Seabelo, was printed boldly across the front, stirring a mix of curiosity and fear. I had seen it briefly before Tebogo's shouting drowned out everything else, forcing me to shove it into a drawer and forget about it. Now the thought of that unopened letter felt like a small, distant lifeline, something my grandmother might have left behind, waiting quietly for the moment I needed it most. After hours of walking with swollen feet and blurred vision, I finally reached a modest community center known as Keganya Women's Shelter. The sign outside was fading, but something about the name, Keganya, meaning light, gave me a small sense of relief. Inside, an older woman with warm eyes and a gentle aura approached me. "I'm Auntie Mpo," she said, taking Cabello carefully from my trembling arms. She fed him, wrapped him in a clean blanket, and insisted I sit and drink water. The simple kindness nearly broke me. As she placed a hand on my shoulder, she said softly, "My child, storms never last. You may not see the sun today, but it will rise for you again." Her words wrapped around me like a shelter I hadn't felt in years. For the first time since leaving the house, I breathed without crying. Once I regained my strength, Auntie Paul led me to a small office with an old telephone on the desk and encouraged me to make any important calls. My hands shook as I dialed the Cape Town law firm whose envelope I had ignored for days. When the call connected, a calm male voice answered, "Duplessis attorneys, this is Mr. Duplessis speaking." I introduced myself quietly, unsure of what to expect. The line went silent for a moment before he spoke again, this time with noticeable surprise. "Miss Mokowena, we've been trying to reach you. Your grandmother left behind a significant estate matter in your name. It is important you come to Cape Town as soon as possible." His words hit me like a sudden wind, unexpected, overwhelming, and confusing. I had left my home with nothing, yet somehow a door I didn't know existed was opening for me. The following morning, the Kenya Women's Shelter arranged safe transport for me and baby Cabello to Cape Town. After hours on the road, I found myself standing inside a towering glass building that overlooked the vast blue ocean. It felt unreal, like I had stepped into a world completely different from the one I escaped. Mr. Duplessis welcomed me into his polished office and offered me a seat. Then, with a calm but serious tone, he revealed a truth I never expected. My late grandmother had been the majority owner of Seabelo Agricultural Holdings, a massive farming and export empire I never knew existed. As I sat there stunned, Mr. Duplessis pulled out a neatly sealed file and explained everything slowly. My grandmother, believing in legacy and destiny, had placed all her assets into a trust meant for the first grandchild to become a mother before turning 28. I felt chills run through my body as the reality sunk in. With Cabello's birth, I had automatically become the sole beneficiary. The trust contained assets valued at nearly 2.9 billion rand, land, shares, equipment, and international export contracts. Everything that had been taken from me was suddenly replaced with more than I ever imagined. I soon moved into my grandmother's peaceful seaside townhouse, a place filled with the warmth and foresight she had poured into my future long before her passing. Sunlight streamed gently through the tall windows each morning, and for the first time in months, I felt safe. The pantry was fully stocked, the closets held new clothes in my size, and a beautiful crib stood ready in the corner of my bedroom, as if she had known exactly when I would need it. Every corner carried her touch, her love, and her unspoken message. "My child, you are never meant to suffer." Over the next several weeks, I focused entirely on rebuilding the woman life had tried to break. I attended therapy sessions with an elder Setswana counselor who helped me untangle years of emotional wounds. I exercised in the courtyard each morning, letting the ocean breeze strengthen both my body and spirit. I enrolled in business lessons and spent hours learning the inner workings of large-scale farm exports. Slowly, my posture lifted, my voice steadied, and confidence spread through me like new roots. For the first time, I didn't just survive. I began to understand my worth and claim it boldly. Meanwhile, Tebogo and Lerato were busy planning the wedding of their dreams, a lavish garden ceremony at the Royal Dune Resort, known across Botswana for its luxury and exclusivity. What they didn't know was that the resort fell under the investment branch of Seabelo Holdings, and with my new inheritance, I now owned a controlling share. While they tasted cakes and chose flower arrangements, their money quietly flowed into a company that was, unknowingly to them, now mine. Their celebration was built on stolen pride, but fate had arranged a perfect stage for truth and consequences to unfold. On the day of their grand wedding, I walked into the resort wearing an elegant golden dress that shimmered in the sunlight. I wasn't angry, only calm, steady, and glowing in my newfound strength. When the guests gathered, I stepped forward and calmly told the truth. How Tebogo threw me out, stole my money, lied about the separation, and left his newborn child homeless. Gasps filled the air. Then I revealed my inheritance and that I now own the controlling share of the very resort hosting their events. At that moment, legal officers stepped in and served them papers right in front of every stand guest. Well, Tebogo and Lerato's world crumbled under the weight of their own choices. I turned my attention to what truly mattered, rebuilding lives, including my own. With my new resources, I expanded the Kenya Women's Shelter, adding more rooms, trained counselors, medical support, and emergency transport for vulnerable mothers. I launched literacy and vocational programs to help women gain independence, confidence, and dignity. Every day, Seabelo grew stronger and happier, surrounded by love and peace instead of chaos. I dedicated my energy to creating opportunities for others, not dwelling on the downfall of those who wronged me. True victory wasn't in embarrassing them at their wedding or watching their pride shatter. It was in rising so high, so gracefully, that their shadows could never touch my life again. My success became my silence, my growth became my revenge, and my peace became the loudest triumph of all.